So I now called him. I said, you sent me a text, but the message didn't come. He said yes. That he didn't know what to tell me. It was short of words. He was only telling me that he couldn't find an appropriate word or words to thank you. So today I find myself in the same circumstance where I'm indeed short of words to thank all of you collectively and individually. On the 9th of June 2015, about this time, we also have assembled here, and the unexpected happened. We are here then to elect the Senate President and Deputy Senate President. There were about 74 of us here. Out of that 74, 49 were PDP, and 59 were APC. Because one had died, one APC senator had died prior to the swearing in. And so when the vote was cast for the Deputy Senate President, I scored 54 votes, and one of our colleagues who contested with me, Vitaly Dube, had 20 votes. Remember I said we had 49 PDP senators. The implication, therefore, is that people voted across party lines and desired to determine who will be their presiding officer. That is the character of the Senate we are seeing today. And I want to tell you how grateful I am. And that support did not end. Thereafter, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, to recall that we arraigned for forgery of our own rules, even when nobody said we did so in the proof of evidence that was submitted before the court. You stood behind us at all material time. Our constituents came from everywhere. The civil society stood by us. So a day like this, we must say thank you to all of you. And of course, for the Senate President, his trial and prosecution had continued to this day, but he stood with him. And at some point, he decided that we will never be distracted, and insisted that even while his trial was going on, that I should ensure that the Senate will sit and continue our assignments while he faces ordeal. So I want to thank you, Mr. Senate President, for being a patriotic Nigerian. We've shared so many things, we've helped each other across party and ethnic divides. I recall just recently, I was sitting in my office. One of our colleagues came to my office, not from PDP, not from Southeast. He told me that he was requested by an agency to bring 2 names for employment, that I should just give him those 2 names. And I know definitely he must have people pressuring him. But he decided to ask me to give him 2 names. I eventually did, and those people were employed. So that again is the character of the Senate. People who don't bother where you come from, they don't care the party you belong, will help each other. In 2010, when my father died, half of the Senate were there. And in 2015, when I had my Thanksgiving, the Senate President led again half of the Senate to my village. That again is the type of Senate we are witnessing. These are people who are determined to show leadership, patriotism, comradeship that have helped to hold our country together. So we cannot thank you enough. We just say, may glory be unto God. Mr. Senate President, I recall too all that he's gone through this period. But I think the thanks must go to your family, who had endured the absence of this period. I've been to your house several years. I can't imagine the meeting with you and your family sitting together and having either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So we must apologize to your dear wife and your children, because the circumstances we found ourselves denied you and denied them the companionship of a family. But we believe that these too shall pass and will triumph. So we want to encourage you to continue to show leadership, to show patriotism. This was a Senate that started on a very rancorous note, but we were able to weed us together into a decorous note. So today we sing with one voice and we walk towards the same direction. You have shown leadership, you have shown brotherhood, you show that you're indeed a deep thinker. And in my personal relations with you, I found you not only as a brother, a friend, and an ally, but one that's also dependable too. During my last birthday, I had so many places to go. We were also in Niger State. And I told you I was going to spend an evening with the ordinary people in my constituency. And you said that my people are also your people that will join us. And you did. When you eventually got to that evening, you were obviously tired, but stayed with us all through that night. At one point I was begging you to go home and sleep. And I believe that I speak for everybody that you can do this and done this for every other senator. Because the next day, you left from Maiduguri to attend the function of one of us. So we're deeply proud of you. I want to assure you that we'll continue to show you our support and solidarity. As I said, I'm short of words, so I cannot continue to proceed. Colleagues, on a final note, I'd like to thank our distinguished colleagues for their support and solidarity, for their patriotism. I think they have made a good case for a bicameral parliament. They have also made a case for a bipartisan parliament. They have shown that this country can be united and focused no matter where we come from and no matter the party we belong. So we can only thank God for this Senate that is as focused as it is. And our prayer is that we remain, things can only get better as we proceed. So I join the Senate President in thanking our colleagues, thanking the civil society, thanking our families and our constituents for their support all these 2 years. May God bless Nigeria.
Before I call the leader, I know that the Deputy Senate President did recognize our former presiding officers that are here, but I also want to recognize them, particularly recognize our father who is here, Dr. Joseph Wiles, who were recognized in there, and also, of course, I recognize former Ayim Deputy Professor Ayu. I will recognize him, and of course, my chairman of the party, I recognize him, and of course, I have to recognize my wife, otherwise I will end up just being here in this chamber. I won't have anywhere to go. So I recognize her too. And all the others, leaders and ministers are under our colleague who we sent on youth service to Kebbi State. We recognize, and also the minister will also send on youth service to the Executive Council. I recognize all the other former clerks who are here too. Former clerks of the Senate, I recognize you, and everybody here, I recognize you. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very distinguished and respected colleagues. The Senate President has finally established the protocol, and with your permission, sir, I want to adopt that protocol wholeheartedly. Very distinguished colleagues, today is a day of thanksgiving. Today is a day of reflection. Today is a day of agenda setting for the next 2 years for the Senate. Let me start by thanking the Almighty God for making it possible for us to be in the Senate, in the 8th Senate, and to last for the last 2 years. Our constituents played the most important role of voting us into the Senate, and they continue to play that role of showing understanding, giving support and advice, cooperation and partnership in our activities here. And they deserve commendation. And in fact, Nigerians deserve commendation for supporting this Senate and indeed the National Assembly. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, Let me also say that